almost 6:40, so I think we should convene. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Charlottesville Police
Recording in progress.
Police Oversight Board. I'd like to say first that for the folks who have come here for a hearing, there isn't going to be one because that has been overtaken by events. The police department and Mr. Fogel have agreed to submit their differences to alternative dispute resolutions, and we'll talk about that as we go through, and then at the end we'll have a public comment period where you can ask any questions that you may have. The first order of business here is to therefore amend our agenda because the posted agenda calls for us to have a review hearing as item 3. What I would like to do instead, just as a suggestion, is to amend the agenda so that item 3 deals with the announcement of the alternative dispute resolution agreement. Item 4 is the resolution the board resolution to continue the hearing, that is, postpone the hearing on Mr. Fogel's complaint. Item 5 to hear public comments, and item 6 to adjourn. Is there any objection? Someone want to move to the amendment?
So moved.
Second.
And who is,
I can do the,
okay.
you know. Okay, Member Brown,
Yes.
Member Carpenter, not present, Member Cooper,
Yes.
Member Gilmore,
Yes.
Chair Mendez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Watson,
Yes.
oh, sorry about that, Member Frazier,
Yes.
I guess the new agenda, the amended agenda has. So what I'd like to do is ask, as we move forward, is to have Hansel read the memo he sent to me this morning regarding the ADR agreement.
yes, one moment. Okay, I'm gonna read it verbatim. This is a memo I submitted to you this morning. It was sent to you, Mr. Chairman, and the subject was recommendation to continue hearing in civilian complaint brought by Jeff Fogel. On July 11th, 2022, the Police Civilian Oversight Board convened a pre-hearing conference to discuss preliminary matters related in civilian complaint brought by Jeff Fogel. The meeting was held virtually and attended by PCOB members. Complainant Jeff Fogel, Charlottesville Police Department Chief LaTroy Tito Durrett, Charlottesville Police Department Internal Affairs Sergeant Gregory Wade, independent counsels for the board Cynthia Hudson and Pam O'Berry, and hearing examiner Cecile Creasy Jr. Towards the end of the conference, Mr. Creasy inquired if the parties would be open to alternative dispute resolution as contemplated in the procedures. At the conference, Mr. Fogel indicated that he would be open to speaking with someone about this case, and Chief Durrett indicated that he would get back to the board and/or the hearing examiner about his decision. Since the pre-hearing conference, I have engaged in follow-up conversations with the parties and the hearing examiner regarding the possibility of informal resolution. The purpose of this memorandum is to communicate to the PCOB that as of 8:41 a.m. on Thursday, July 14, 2022, the parties in civilian complaint brought by Jeff Fogel have agreed to engage in ADR alternative dispute resolution to be facilitated by the hearing examiner Cecile Creasy on or about July 28, 2022, time and location to be determined. It is my recommendation that the board continues the hearing until receiving notification from the parties about the outcome of the ADR session. The parties have agreed that if no agreement is made, the case will return to the board for a hearing at the next practicable meeting date.
Yeah, I'd just like to provide a little additional background to go with that. We were, of course, preparing for a hearing this evening. As part of that preparation, the Charlottesville Police Department provided to us last week access to their internal files and audiovisual materials related to Mr. Fogel's complaint. We reviewed the files and then prior to holding the pre-hearing conference, and I think the idea that those were made available to outside observers, that is the PCOB, is a very important advance in police oversight. As Hansel said, I think it became clear to all parties that the potential existed to address Mr. Fogel's concern using ADR. And the hearing examiner, Mr. Cecil Creasy, being an administrative law judge and a mediation specialist, is a good candidate to do that. So the bottom line is that this is a hopeful development that would not have happened before passage of the PCOB enabling legislation by the City Council last December. It's another important step in improving police oversight in Charlottesville. One last thing, the PCOB, as noted at the end of the memo that Hansel just read, still has jurisdiction over this review request. So if it's not settled by agreement of both parties, they can come back to the board, heaven forbid, and we can continue on to holding a hearing on unresolved issues. Does anyone on the board have any questions or comments? Jeff?
Mr. Chair, so unlike some ADRs, this one is not binding.
No,
Okay, so
it's not arbitration.
it's not arbitration.
Anyone else? So the next item here is for us to consider a resolution continuing the hearing, that is postponing it. I will read it, and then we can discuss it and vote on it. Whereas the parties of the review request of Charlottesville Police Division complaint number 2020-0015 were scheduled to be heard by the Charlottesville Police Civilian Review Board on July 14th, 2022. And whereas the board, through its executive director, received on July 14th, 2022, notice that the parties have agreed in accordance with applicable provisions of the Charlottesville City Code, Chapter 2, Article 16, and related operating procedures, to submit the matters in dispute in the complaint to an alternative dispute resolution process. And whereas the board finds that it is in the public interest served by the board to continue the July 14th, 2022 hearing to accommodate the parties' agreement to resolve their dispute by alternative means. Now, therefore, be it hereby resolved by the Charlottesville Police Civilian Oversight Board, the hearing of the review request filed by the complainant in Charlottesville Police Division, complaint number 2020-0015, is continued pending the parties' report of the outcome of alternative dispute resolutions proceedings, adopted on this day, 14th day of July 2022. The way a resolution works is people can comment on it, and individuals can also move to approve it. Got any comments?
Mr. Chair, that motion needs to be made first, and then you invite discussion.
Oh, a motion to, what kind of a motion?
Motion to adopt.
Essentially, you're asking what's the board's pleasure with respect to the motion, and then any member so inclined may simply say, I move to approve or I move to adopt the resolution as presented,
Do we need to do that?
or otherwise.
Do we need to do that before we discuss, or?
Yes, I mean, proper parliamentary procedures to have a motion on the floor before there's debate and discussion, yeah.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
I make a motion to adopt.
Is there a second? Second. Discussion? There being none, I guess we are ready to vote. I have to remind Mr. Cooper.
Correct.
I have to remind Mr. Cooper that you have recused yourself from this case, so you won't be eligible to vote. council, would you poll the board?
Yes, and I just wanna just make a note that the final resolution will be posted. It will include, Member Fraser's name. It's not in the present,
Yeah.
version that you have before you. Member Brown,
Yes.
Member Carpenter is recused and absent from the vote. Member Cooper,
Is recused.
Member Gilmore,
Yes.
Chair Mendes,
Yes.
Vice Chair Watson,
Yes.
and, Member Fraser.
Yes.
Appears that the motion has passed unanimously, so the hearing is continued. That is postponed until we hear from the parties. I guess the next item on our agenda is to hear comments from the public. And there, I guess we're just gonna be doing it from the, through the Zoom. Okay?
All right, thank you, Thank you, Chairman. If you'd like to speak to the Police Civilian Oversight Board, please click the raise hand icon in the Zoom webinar. If you're joining us via phone, press *9. Each speaker will be allowed up to 3 minutes, and please share your place of residence when you begin.
Do not see any hands raised. One last call for public comments. Very well, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Quick question.
Oh, yes.
Will the board be informed of the outcome of the ADR?
That's up to the I think it's up to the parties to
Okay.
decide what kinds of information they wish to release. I'm sure we can count on Mr. Fogel not to be vigorous.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Member Brown,
Yes.
Member Cooper,
Yes.
Member Gilmore,
Yes.
Member Fraser,
Yes.
Chair Mendes,
Yes?
Vice Chair Watson.
Yes.
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for being here.
See y'all.
Yeah.